What does Bonner's addition now mean for the Fever's title potential?
I think the Indiana Fever, with the addition of DeWanna Bonner after already adding Natasha Howard and Sophie Cunningham, are now in the championship conversation, along with the New York Liberty, the Minnesota Lynx, and the Las Vegas Aces.
Danielle Bonner of the Vegas Aces has made a bold move that has caught the attention of the entire WNBA, leaving her wife Alyssa Thomas frustrated. Rather than joining forces with Thomas at the Phoenix Mercury, Bonner has decided to head to the Indiana Fever to team up with Caitlin Clark.
DeWanna Bonner, while she's in Indianapolis for the Indiana Fever, she will be separated from her wife, well, soon-to-be wife, Alyssa Thomas. They are currently engaged, okay? Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner, for years, have been teammates at the Connecticut Sun.
You're probably curious about what's happening here. We're about to dive into why this move makes the Fever immediate contenders. And let's just say, Alyssa Thomas isn't taking it well. Stick with us to see how this game-changing decision is shaking up the WNBA. Are you ready?
Like when you go down the list of like all the trades and all the moves and everything, it takes you a while to get to DeWanna Bonner, but her going to Indiana is, I mean, with what they now have, they already had it. They got a team.
Here's the crazy part. Danielle Bonner just shook up the WNBA, and it's not just because of her killer crossover. The six-time All-Star had a big decision to make this offseason, and everyone assumed it was a no-brainer. Join her wife Alyssa Thomas in Phoenix and go after another championship, right? Wrong.
That's a lot. Okay, she's going to be in Indiana and Indy, whereas her wife Alyssa Thomas will be in Phoenix Mercury. I'm sorry, she'll be a Mercury at Phoenix Mercury, but she'll be in Phoenix, Arizona. Okay, two totally different regions of the U.S., right? So again, it's like the fact that I'm sure that money talked. And Stephanie White is the head coach. I would love to play for Stephanie White. She's an amazing, incredible coach.
She really threw us all for a loop. Instead of Phoenix, she's heading to Indiana. Why? That's where things get interesting. The Fever haven't been close to the WNBA Finals in years, so what exactly did Bonner see in Indiana?
DeWanna Bonner adds versatility for them. Coming into this offseason, they needed a stretch four, a player who could run the floor. They got that in Howard and they got that in Bonner. They also got versatility by signing DeWanna Bonner. Not necessarily the sexiest, biggest name signings, but the pieces they needed to contend for a championship. I think now Indiana is in that championship conversation.
Let's talk about what Bonner brings. She's a scoring machine with 2 championship rings and a 6'4" frame that dominates. Bonner can guard multiple positions and hit threes with ease. Last season, she averaged 15 points and 6 rebounds, shooting over 41% from the field. That kind of consistency is a coach's dream.
In DeWanna Bonner, the Indiana Fever have signed one of the all-time greats who brings major big game experience to Indiana along with her. Bonner is a 2-time WNBA champion and quite literally the most experienced postseason player ever. Her 87 playoff games are more than any player in WNBA history.
But the stats only tell part of the story. Bonner's been clutch throughout her career, stepping up when it matters most. In the 2024 playoffs, she dropped 37 points in 2 games against the Fever and took on the tough task of guarding Caitlin Clark. Talk about making an impression. It must have left Fever management so impressed that they thought, if you can't beat her, sign her.
But Bonner is still playing at a very high level. She is a 6-time All-Star, making the All-Star team in each of her last 2 seasons, and has gotten MVP votes in 6 different seasons, including last year. Her length makes her a major weapon on both ends of the floor, allowing her to get shots off regardless of how tight the defense is, and finish in tight quarters inside. Her game is multi-dimensional. She's knocked down more than 600 threes in her career, but she's also very effective as a driver, a slasher, and a passer.
Now, imagine being Alyssa Thomas. Your wife just chose to play with the Indiana Fever instead of joining you in Phoenix. That's got to sting more than an actual beasting. Thomas is probably sitting at home, rewatching game tape, and wondering what could have been if they teamed up in Phoenix.
What was the reason for putting you on Caitlin? Usually, Dejanay guards her.
Just game planning, trying to come up with a strategy. They beat us last time, so we had to do something different. Yeah, that was about it. It was nothing behind it. They got 2 great guards, so somebody got to step up and play defense. And I mean, that's the only way to beat them. So just took on the challenge, and she's a great player. I know next game she's gonna come out firing. So got to go back, watch some video, and see what we can do. But it was nothing behind it. I mean, that's the only way we can win, honestly.
The Bonner's move isn't just about basketball. It's about buying into a vision, even if it means stepping out of her comfort zone. And let's be real. Playing alongside Caitlin Clark is a pretty sweet deal. Yeah, that Caitlin Clark, the one who's been breaking records and ankles since day one. Bonner's always respected Clark's game, and now she gets to be part of the Clark experience firsthand.
You've been asked to do something today that you haven't done all season. Guard Caitlin Clark. She's 0 for 3 when you're defending her. How have you made your presence felt there?
Well, let me knock on some wood real quick. She's a great player. I know she's going to come out second half ready to go, so I got to key in.
The Fever aren't just adding Bonner, though. They've been making moves like a chess grandmaster on espresso. Natasha Howard, Sophie Cunningham, and Sydney Colson are all joining the squad. It's like the Fever decided to build their own basketball Avengers, with Clark as their Captain America and Bonner as the sharpshooting Black Widow.
And while Bonner has never played for the Fever before, she'll come to Indiana with plenty of connections thanks to her time in Connecticut, where she played 2 seasons under Fever head coach Stephanie White, assistant coach Austin Kelly, and player development coach Keith Porter. With Bonner, the Fever can now boast a starting lineup where all 5 players are also all-star.
But why did Danielle Bonner really choose the Fever over playing with her wife? Sure, the chance to play alongside Caitlin Clark is tempting, but there's more to it. Bonner's reuniting with her former coach, Stephanie White. It's like getting the band back together, but with a chart-topping new lead singer in Clark. The Fever are done being the WNBA's underdogs. They're building something special, and Bonner wants in from the ground up. It's like she's looked at the Fever's blueprint and said, yeah, I can see myself in that penthouse suite.
DeWanna hopes to go head-to-head against Alyssa on the court.
If I make it, I'm going crazy.
Let's talk about how Alyssa Thomas is handling this news. Spoiler, not well. Known for her fierce competitiveness, Thomas must feel like she just lost the biggest game of her life. Her wife is choosing to play with the player Thomas has been trying to shut down. That's got to sting. It's like when your best friend ditches you for the cool kids, but on a WNBA level. Alyssa isn't just losing a teammate. She's watching her wife team up with her biggest rival, and it's tough.
Take another look here at the heavy contact. A little bit of a shoulder there. Not a little bit, a lot of a shoulder.
Does she want to go with her fiance, her wife, to Phoenix, Alyssa Thomas? The answer is no. She could have gone back to Phoenix, okay, where she played for many years, but instead, she goes to the Indiana Fever, who have now, just like that, of course, have Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston, re-signed Kelsey Mitchell, got Natasha Howard and all of her playoff and championship expertise, and now DeWanna Bonner joins the Fever as well. And instantly, every weakness that Fever team had last year has been fit. And we were watching that playoff round with the Fever and the Sun in the first round of the W playoffs. One of the storylines or talking points was the lack of experience versus inexperience. I mean, the Sun were the most experienced playoff team in the playoffs between Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner and all the people that they had there. And the Fever were, of course, the most inexperienced. And right away, that changes and shifts.